On people, we are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update going into the last 24 hours of Tottenham news, and we're going to start off talking about James Maddison. As Ange said in the press conference yesterday, saying it's fair to say it's not looking promising in regards to James Maddison injury, which followed on from Paul O'Keefe saying he understands that Tottenham are very worried regarding James Maddison's knee injury sustained in the Bodo game. Sami Mokbel says that James Maddison is set to miss the final weeks of the season with a knee injury, midfielder being assessed for ligament damage, and the severity is yet to be clarified and will be clarified over the next 48 hours. As Alex Crook says, Maddison's season is understood to be over. The fear is the knee injury is significant and the scan results are expected in the next 24 hours. So not the news that we all wanted.
It's actually really gutting because I actually think he's recently probably been our best player. And I think especially in these big Europa games, he's been stepping up. Think about the RZ home leg. I think he got a goal and assist in the against Frankfurt in both legs, massive. Even against Bodo, got the goal and was playing really well. I think it's been kind of underestimated what a big kind of player he's been for us especially over the last few weeks, but even over the season. Obviously, he's been getting regular goal contributions, and he's kind of a player who we don't have another one really like him in the squad. A player who kind of adjusts the kind of pace of the game, can pick the ball up in his own kind of half and dictate the tempo of the game, but also pop up in the final third, make those late runs. We don't really have anyone making those runs that Maddison makes, and he takes set pieces. He's just such an important player, knitting the play together in terms of a passer, probably the best passer in the team. So the fact that he's going to be out for the season, not going to have another role to play in the semis or the final, is gutting. Especially as well, if we do play Man United in the final, he's had 3 brilliant games, hasn't he, against Man United, or at least 2. In the game at Old Trafford, he was brilliant, and the game where he scored the winner recently at the Tottenham Stadium. So it's gutting. It's absolutely gutting. And coupled with the fact that Decky's form hasn't picked up yet since coming back from injury, Bergvall being injured as well. So we just lose so much technical ability in that centre of the park. Yeah. It's a worry. It's a massive worry.
Yeah, it really is. And with Spurs, we could just never do things simply, just keep all our players fit. It just feels like, we finally got all our players back pretty much. And then this happens straight away. Bergvall, Maddison, bang, bang. And 2 of our our home midfield, pretty much, apart from Bentancur. Yeah. So very, very frustrating. Regards to Dominic Solanke, Ange says pretty confident Solanke should be fit to return to face Bodo Glimt. Dom's improving. We obviously left him out today, but the medical team are pretty confident that he should be right for Thursday, obviously speaking in the press conference again yesterday.
Do you reckon that means on the bench for Thursday, or do you reckon...
I reckon he starts.
Starting from the beginning. Yeah, I think it's important that we have both him and Rishi available for Thursday because we saw what an impact they made in the first leg together. And as well, we've also seen, I think the bigger thing for me is we've seen the impact of neither of them on the pitch. We just don't look the same team. And I think that's going to be very important to have them both available. So either they play together like they did on Thursday, Rishi on the left, or we can have one or the other up front and kind of substitute. And I think having a kind of real focal point up front is so crucial to how he's been playing recently, all the whole season. And I think it's going to be so important to have both of them available. So it's really great news. But yeah, let's hope we adapt without Kulusevski. It's not just Thursday. Without Maddison. It's just not just Thursday, but also going forward, like with the final as well. It's a lot of responsibility now on Decky's shoulders to really step up.
Absolutely. This is next one I want to address. A Bodo player, Fredrik Schwold, I think is how you pronounce it, was speaking to Norwegian press after the game last week. And a bit of fighting talk from him coming into the game. And he says that we just have to play simple and not give the ball away too easily. I think their pressure will collapse pretty quickly, and then we can cause trouble. It's a very good team, and they are very good with the ball, but the pressure is no better than an okay Norwegian team, and it is possible to play out. And then he said, it's often more difficult to break down Norwegian teams in that phase of the game. I would say it's possible to exploit. It's something we have figured out quite well, and which I hope we can exploit even more in the home game. He says, I think it puts us in a good position. I thought the players were outstanding today, blah, blah, blah. Basically, what he's saying is that Spurs' press is no better than a middle-of-the-range Norwegian team. And I thought it was quite interesting for him to come out and say something like that directly after getting pretty much played off the park in the first leg. They did get that goal towards the end. But I think like the Spurs players, I know, some of us are quite worried going into that second leg, but the Spurs players and Ange should be printing these quotes and putting them on the changing room to use it as they probably shouldn't need motivation going into a second leg of a European semi-final, but even more so now that these players coming out with these kind of quotes.
It'd be fun if we press high up the pitch early in the game and get a goal from it and really have him have egg on his face, which would be quite funny. But it's very interesting comments considering they had one shot on target the whole game and they barely got in on our goal, and they really struggled to play through us, I think. And the fact Basuma and a few other players did catch them out quite hard the pitch a number of times, and we were lucky. They were lucky we probably didn't take full advantage of those moments. So, bit of an odd comment. Maybe just trying to build kind of confidence within the fan base and within the team that they have got all the tools to kind of go in the second leg. But I kind of feel like how strong those quotes are kind of smacks of a bit of insecurity in a way. It's kind of like trying to prove that they can beat us rather than just showing it. It's kind of like big words, which for me comes from a place of trying to talk a big game, but they need to show it. And I think it's interesting considering how the first leg went, that's what he's been saying. But look, we'll see at the end of the next leg who has egg on their face.
Yeah, let's hope it's not us. Next up, we're going to talk about Cuti Romero. Marca reporting that Atletico Madrid are ready to offer Tottenham Rodrigo Riquelme as part of a cash plus swap deal to sign the centre-back Cuti Romero. A player that's played nothing more than a bit part role for Atletico Madrid this season. He's 25 years of age already. He's a forward, and he's got no goals this season and 1 assist. I mean, this just stinks of Fraser Campbell, Dimitar Berbatov style deal.
Yeah. It says he's a midfielder. Does he play?
Maybe he's a midfielder.
I don't know. I don't know too much about him, to be honest, but I think I'd just rather the cash, and we can sign whoever we want rather than sign this guy.
Yeah, in the last game he started at right wing, it looked like, or the right of a midfield 4.
They sometimes say 4-4-2, don't they?
Yeah, it was a 4-4-2, yeah.
So, look, for me, I would rather just the cash.
Yeah.
You leave the player if you're going to sign him.
Yeah. But if we do the deal, doesn't it just stink of Fraser Campbell?
He used to play for Bournemouth, it says.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, back in the when they were in the Championship.
Yeah, 16 games, 1 goal. So he started off at Atletico, then went to Bournemouth, then went to Mirandes, then Girona, and now back at Atletico. So I imagine those were just loan deals. So, yeah, not one to spill you with much.
I don't think there's any. I think we don't really do swap deals.
No.
We like the cash.
Yeah. We kind of do we have done them in the past, haven't we? But it's more like we buy your player than you'll buy our player or something.
Separate deals, yeah. But usually it's for ones that we really want. It's not for... Well, usually it's... we did it with Højbjerg, but obviously we were the ones signing Højbjerg, and there was a swap deal on our part. I can't remember too often we've sold a player with a...
Well, the last one I can remember is Fraser Campbell, Dimitar Berbatov.
Yes, and that exactly, we were kind of burnt by that. And also, I don't think... Also, it wasn't to take any money off. It was just a sweetener.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It was basically Levy scrambling around being like...
we had no... Yeah.
Like, give us something.
I think it was also like, oh shit, I've left the last half an hour. Yeah. So, can you give us anything? I don't remember any time where we've sold a player that we didn't want to sell, and we've decided to get a player in return on one of their cast-offs. It's not often.
No, but look, we'll see what happens on that front. Court Offside are reporting that Tottenham have now made inquiries for Alejandro Garnacho, Tyler Dibbling, James McAtee and Christopher Nkunku as they weigh up new attacking options ahead of next season. Spurs are already in the process of looking at strengthening their forward line going in to next season. I mean, out of those 4 players, McAtee has been decent since he's broken into the Man City team this year. Nkunku, Garnacho and Dibbling. Obviously, we've spoken about Dibbling to death, but what do you reckon about Garnacho and Nkunku?
I mean, Nkunku was great, but he was great at Leipzig, but it just hasn't worked out at Chelsea. I don't know what's going on with him at the moment.
A lot of injuries, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an injury-prone player. I kind of feel like we probably shouldn't go for him. Garnacho, he's an interesting player, Garnacho. He's like one of these players who is still quite raw in terms of his qualities.
Very.
He's like, but he's been at United for 2 years now? Or 3 years?
So,
he's
yeah,
been there for quite a bit. And he hasn't really taken his game to the next level, but he's still quite young. So he has that. I think he's got a lot of potential. Like if he can get his finishing right, there's a serious talent there. And to be fair, you saw the goal he scored yesterday.
Yeah,
incredible. That was like a Sonny goal. Like if he can score that goal more regularly, then all of a sudden I think there's a great talent. But I guess the questions are, will he do it?
Well, he is only 20 years of age.
That's what I'm saying. He's still young.
He's been at United. Well, he's been there for a while, but he's been in the first team since 2021. So yeah, it's been quite a while. I always find him very frustrating watching him, Garnacho, though. Like, it feels like he needs so many chances to score a goal.
That's the thing. He's getting so many chances.
Yeah.
And that is not to be ignored. And all I'm saying is if he can improve his finishing, which, a lot of players at 20 don't have good finishing. And you look at some of the best players in the world at 20, they weren't. Like, look at Vinicius at 20. He was very inconsistent. I'm not saying he's going to be Vinicius. I'm just saying 20, you're not the finished player at 20 by any stretch. You got a lot of improving to do.
Yeah.
So
I feel like with Garnacho, though, like, he's got a lot of confidence about himself, and which is not a problem, but I feel like he thinks he's a lot better than he is. Yeah,
potentially. I also think he can play on both wings quite well. So I like I like the idea, but it's another, I guess the criticism will come. It's another player we're hoping turns good rather than a player who is currently good and can immediately improve us.
Like if I offered you the transfer of Tell for 40 million or Garnacho for 40 million, who are you taking?
Tough one. Maybe Garnacho. Just because I think he's maybe shown a bit more in the Premier League. I don't know. It's
had
tough
a lot
one.
more time to show it.
I know, but it's tough. It's a tough one. But if I'm basing it just from what I've seen, maybe from what I can see, maybe
from what you've seen in the Premier League, it is Garnacho. He does seem like the more kind of Premier League ready player and player further along in his development right now. But if you would have seen Tell for as long as you've seen Garnacho, it might be the other way around.
Yeah, I think there are two good players there. But I don't know. I don't know if United would sell to us anyway. But look, I quite like Garnacho. That's my point. I think he's a decent winger. Dibbling, we've spoken about a lot. I like him. It would be decent. And McAtee would be interesting. I thought he was quite good at Sheffield United when he was on loan.
Yeah.
And then he's been in Man City this season, kind of been in and out of the team. No, more out than in, fair to say.
In recent weeks, he's played a lot.
Recent weeks, he's come in, done quite well. I think he's a good little player, to be honest. I do think he's a good little player. But he's more of a number 10, isn't he?
Yeah, he's scored 3 goals this year for Man City in 14 games on and off the bench. From what I've seen from him, I do like him. It's just a case of where does he fit in. I mean, if Maddison is out for a sustained amount of time, he could kind of fill that void. But then again, when Maddison comes back, then what happens with him? But he's a young player, 22 years of age. I don't know.
Good technical player.
I think I rate, when you're looking at the young players at Man City, I kind of rate O'Reilly a bit more than McAtee at this moment in time.
Maybe. O'Reilly's been playing in defence a lot, though, hasn't he? McAtee plays more on the front line.
Yeah. Would you take him?
Yeah, probably.
His contract runs until 2026.
I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to know right now about all these different things because we don't know who the manager's going to be. So right now, I think maybe under the current system we play, it's hard to find a natural place for him. But let's say we swapped for a Glasner, all of a sudden he can fit in one of those number 10 positions up front, and he would be a better fit there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's tough to talk about all these players, but I like him as a player. I do. I think he'd be a good player for us.
Next up, the Bleacher Report reporting that Eze has informed Crystal Palace that he wants to leave this summer, with Villa, City, Newcastle and Tottenham all interested in the 26-year-old. Those Eze links coming back once again as the season draws to a close.
Yeah, I do think he's probably on his way out of Palace. Although, what I would say is he's probably on his way out, but he's now, 20? Is he 28 in the summer? No, not. Is that old?
No, he'll be 27 in the summer.
27. Yeah. Who's really going to be in for him? I guess we'll be in for him.
Well, this report says Villa, Man City, Newcastle, and Tottenham.
Yeah, I think he hasn't had the best season, but I feel like recently
he's been class.
Yeah, he had that injury. He's come back from his injury and he's been on fire.
Some of the goals that he's scored in recent weeks has just been incredible. It just feels like everything's going in for him right now.
Yeah, which I think at the beginning of the season he was hitting the post a lot on the bar, and now all of a sudden it's going the right side of the post. And the goal he scored at Arsenal was brilliant. The goal he scored in the FA Cup,
wow.
Yeah, that was brilliant. So I think he's starting to show that return to form, and maybe we're getting him on an upward trajectory. Look, I've been clear about Eze for a long time. I think he's a fantastic player. I think all the uncertainty this season and the loss of Elise and all these different things has led to him being a bit inconsistent. But I think when you get his head right, he's a phenomenal player, and a player who I think potentially, as good as he's been at Palace, has another level to go, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I'd love to see Eze at the club. I really would. And I feel like if we were to sign an Eze, that kind of signals Spurs going more in the right direction as opposed to keep buying these 19, 20-year-olds. Look, it's all good, like buying amazing talent for the future, but buying Eze is a clear signal of intent about buying players at the top of their game right here, right now, take us on to another level. Court Offside are reporting that United, Chelsea and Tottenham all competing to sign Dean Hyson, who's set to make a decision on his future this summer. Another stunning performance on the weekend from him against Arsenal, getting a goal as well. I'd love to see Dean Hyson at Spurs. I loved to see him in the last summer. I was saying that Spurs should be signing him, but I still think like his sights are probably set a bit higher than Tottenham right now.
Well, he's only 19, so you know he can be at Tottenham and then move on. But I don't know if necessarily he needs to go to a massive club. But if there are massive clubs in for him, which the report's saying, then it's hard to turn that down. So yeah, for sure.
I feel like a Liverpool will be in for him this summer.
Yeah, long-term replacement for Van Dijk potentially.
There's rumours of Konate leaving as well.
Maybe. I don't think I'll sell him, but maybe.
Because he's got his injury problems, Konate. They can never seem to get like consistent run out of him.
Yeah, I like Hyson. I think he's a talented centre-back. I think he'd be great. I think at the moment competition's too fierce for him, and that's reality. In this day and age where so many big clubs now, everyone's kind of in the same pool looking for the same talent, and that's kind of the trouble we're in with the restrictions we put on ourselves financially.
Yeah,
you know, I think a lot of the time we come out second best to someone.
Yeah, very true. Another report here saying that Wolves, Everton, West Ham and Tottenham are in the running for Tim Clydenheist. I think that's how you pronounce it. Or Clydenst. And Premier League clubs are ready to pay 30 to 35 million euros for him. Domestically, Bayern Munich stand out as one of the teams looking at him to deputise Harry Kane. AC Milan and Roma are closely following the player's situation as well. Borussia Mönchengladbach may have to sell if they fail to qualify for European competition with the increasing likelihood of a transfer this summer. An interesting player, obviously did very well in the Bundesliga 2 for Heidenheim, scoring a bucket load of goals. They got promoted. He carried on scoring quite a few goals in that year. And then he has moved to Borussia Mönchengladbach this year, and he's had another really good season.
And he's a big unit, 6'4". And so I'm guessing he scores quite a few headed goals.
I imagine so.
From what I can see here, which is quite interesting, his defensive stats are very good. 94% percentile for aerial duels won. So that is someone who's tough to deal with in terms of, he looks like a proper target man. Interesting. He is 29, so it's not like he's young. He seems to be a late bloomer in terms of his career. That's all right. People can be late bloomers. It doesn't mean they're bad. And his form over the last few years has been brilliant.
And on the back of this form, he's actually got appearances for the national team over the past year or so. 6 games, 4 goals for Germany.
I mean, if he's at a good price, I wouldn't be surprised if Levy's tempted to replace Richarlison with him. It would be a very Levy move.
It would be 30 to 35 million, they're saying. Euros, that is. So around 25 million pounds or so. A decent price for someone with that many goals behind him.
Yeah, but I guess...
You know, a lot of people, I know he's not the same, but a lot of people last year turned their nose a bit up at Sergio Guirassy at, scoring bucket loads of goals last season, and he's carried on. I know he's still in the Bundesliga, but he's doing it for Borussia Dortmund, and he scored bloody 4 goals against, a hat-trick against Barcelona last week or 2 weeks ago.
So you can't say he's definitely a dud, but he's definitely a late bloomer, that's for sure. And it's not one he's been scoring goals throughout his whole career. It's definitely been more recently.
Yeah.
But he seems to maybe he's found his some players just take time to develop, and maybe right now he's going through a bit of a peak. But I don't know if he's one I think is be my first choice.
He's got double figures of goals every year since 20 to 21 season.
Yeah, but three of them in Bundesliga too.
Yeah. So look, that's him. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Should Spurs be going in for Tim Clydenst? And last but not least, 2 reports here. The Sun are saying that West Brom want Tottenham coach Ryan Mason to become their new manager. And TalkSport saying that Ryan Mason is the leading contender for the vacant West Brom job, but will want to wait until after Tottenham's European campaign has come to an end before making a decision over his future. There's a couple of times over the last couple of years we've heard about Ryan Mason being in the running for like championship jobs. Maybe this could be the one.
Maybe we should just bite the bullet. Appoint him. We're desperate to do it. Every time it's like, get Mason in. Everyone's ready for it to happen again. We should just bite the bullet. Do you reckon he's actually in the running
for the Spurs job? Nah.
Wouldn't even get an interview.
I mean, maybe just out of courtesy, but I don't think
he's in running at all.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, me neither. But yeah, look, maybe if he goes somewhere like West Brom and does really well, maybe he can come back.
Look, if he goes somewhere and proves himself, I have no doubt he'll be Spurs manager one day.
Yeah, because I think we know him so well, the club know him really well, and I think the club do think this guy could be a good manager, and that's why we've obviously installed him twice as interim. But I also feel like they can't trust him on the evidence yet to be full-time permanent Spurs manager.
Let's be real though. He's had some good role models. He's worked under some brilliant managers, hasn't he? Like obviously he's spoken in an interview how much he's taken from Maurizio Pochettino in terms of managing style and that kind of stuff. But then again, he's been working under, as a coach, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, now Ange, I think Nuno as well. Some good managers there.
Well, he's clearly highly thought of in the club, for sure. And I think the club would like one day to potentially him be manager. But I think they just know the reaction what would be if we were to appoint him full-time. And as well, do they have full belief that right now they could really instill him as full-time permanent manager without giving him, the time needed to learn the ropes, basically, like Arteta, essentially. It'd be another 3-season thing where they'll need to give him that time, and we're not in a position where we could really do that, give that manager that time right now.
Yeah, because judging by the evidence this year, if we do that, there's a possibility of relegation.
I guess, yeah.
But look, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.